All right, we've officially started the stage. Whenever you're ready, let's start with a small self-introduction and yeah, and then we can get into the
Of course.
questions
Yeah.
afterwards.
My name is Gala. I'm the founder of a fashion brand called Tribute Brand. We are both digital and physical fashion brand. We started as a digital one, but introduced physical in the last year, I would say. My background is in traditional fashion. So before that, I was running a physical fashion label that was actually more of a fashion critique than a label. And then this eventually turned into a digital brand called Tribute Brand. I don't know what's the background of people here, but I would say we are mostly known in the traditional fashion scene. I would say for those bespoke outfits of people wearing Tribute Brand garments on their images. I think most of that you can see on our Instagram. So I think mostly because of that, some amazing things has happened to us since we started. So we've dressed many VIPs, musicians, and so on. But I think the most importantly, we collaborated with luxury fashion houses such as Carolina Herrera, such as Jean Paul Gaultier, and I think on the Web3 side, where we are mostly known for, I think this is the first. I think it should be the first generative fashion project ever released, which is named Punk. And the other one is a collaboration with Chromie Squiggle and Eric Calderon on generative physical and digital odds sweaters that are based on the Chromie Squiggle code. So yeah, I think this is a bit of it. And as a team, I'd like to say that we are both a fashion brand and a fashion tech house, meaning we are divided. Creativity is our biggest, the most important thing at Tribute Brand, and the product, but also half of the team is just developers. So we are basically developing also the tech and the softwares for our digital fashion to be used. Firstly, we were mostly focused on AR, but still are. So we also have an AR app that's built on our in-house AR tech. You can preview that AR when downloading Tribute Brand app, or you can also download Herrera X Tribute Brand app, where you can also see the collaboration with us and Carolina Herrera. And basically everything you see, we did, like entire web infrastructure, Web3 infrastructure, web page, iOS app, UX, UI design, backend, frontend, AR, and then added on creative aspect and product. We build everything in house. So yeah, I think this is a bit of info on me. So open to any questions.
So just to share that most of the questions will be coming in through the chat channel, but of course,
Yeah, yeah.
everyone is free to please request the mic, and I will add you to the stage.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for that intro. I just jumped on Instagram and saw your work. It's amazing. Wow.
Thank you.
Really, really good. I think the question I would like to ask is like, what is the future for you? As in, like, how do you want to see Web3 and fashion be ingested or, yeah, taken in moving forward?
I think for us, Web3 and blockchain is just protocol. So we needed to authenticate that products are real, let's say that way, that people own them. And I think this will intercollide with all of the places we need digital fashion, and there are so places like environments. They are like, yeah, where you use PFP. So I think it's how fashion will look in those, because for me, I think this is on it's very on this, so it's different, and I think we will use that thing, but into and
Mm,
yeah, I think that this is my answer to it.
amazing. I have one more question before that's okay. Uh, have you used reality or your space creations?
Not exactly. And develop AR for footwear, and the AR for full body tracking is different. And as said earlier, we wanted to build everything in house, so this is why we focus on things that cover body, not track foot. But I think it's also a thing we would like to explore.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you
And the
so much.
questions. Yeah, I see some questions in the chat. So should I answer the one on the decentralized? Just let me read it. Yeah. So let me speak about the project with Chromie Squiggle. It was actually a huge project. We started speaking with Eric, I think, year and a half ago or something like this. Because I think it's like Chromie Squiggle is such an important project, and then in the end, doing like a generative fashion concept is something that's being very new, and I really wanted to make it good from each aspect, and I really wanted to be able to say in 20 years I'm very proud of this project. So it took a lot. Right now there are like 13 people at Tribute Brand. I think all of us at some point were working on this project, and I think yeah, it's quite hard to introduce those concepts. In the end, it's very complex, and I think our goal when doing digital fashion or fashion in general or fashion infused with Web3 should be the consumer, the fashion consumer. So not just uh, to attract people who are into crypto, but actually to attract people who care about the product, and that people that would love to wear it because it's just a nice product and it's cool. And then imagine how hard it is to go to, for example, like an average fashion person and telling them this is based on hacking the Chromie Squiggle source, and each one you have is unique. It's one of one based on this very important generative art project. So there are a lot of things to be considered to storytell this project. I have a deck here, so I can, if people are not familiar, I can also like share a deck to showcase the project. Uh,
Yes, please. That would be fantastic.
yeah. Just let me. Uh, can you see it?
No, not unfortunately, no.
No.
It seemed to shared it a little bit and then it went back to not being shared. Can you try if you
Uh,
can you check your settings and see if you're
yeah, I did.
allowing Discord to share screen? Oh,
Yeah, I did,
um,
but like let me try again.
mhm.
Mm, mm, mm. Wait. Let me try once more. Can you?
Seems like it shares for a second and then disconnects.
That's
Are you
this
sharing
screen.
your
I
full
don't know.
screen or sharing just like the application window?
No, the full screen.
That's strange. Are you working
And
on
this,
a
wait,
MacBook
can you
or
see this? Anything happening?
I could see it loading?
Okay. It's still loading.
Yeah.
Let's try once again. Okay. Uh, Maybe I should restart the Discord and come back again.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
do
of
that?
course.
Yeah. Let me try it. No, the same thing.
How's this? Does that
Okay.
work?
Yes, that's it. So basically, you go to the odds section. And then you can scroll down a bit. As I like to say, you can scroll through the website as I'm speaking. We actually hacked, as I like to say, the Chromie Squiggle source code to generate blueprints based on our creative direction. And those blueprints are at the same time being used as instructions for the factory to manufacture physical sweaters and also as your digital skin. So based on reality you need, you can use that odds blueprint in different realities. What's interesting with the physical sweaters is that we made them in a collaboration with the sweater producing knitwear at their factories, and they're able to basically based on our input and that blueprint create different and unique sweaters. So if you're owner of Chromie Squiggle, you can generate sweater based on Chromie Squiggle. If you're not, you can generate sweater based on the Chromie Squiggle code, but not on the existing Chromie Squiggle. Each of them equipped with RC tech. So this is something also we do in-house. And then you can connect the sweater with our app to use the sweater in AR, or you can import sweater as in VRM skin in different realities. So basically this is also kind of storytelling this vision of how we see fashion in the future, that fashion is not, meant to first look like clothing in all of those spaces, and that fashion will exist in many different spaces, and we want to create this interconnected experience with all of those realities we are using it. So yeah, I think this is kind of short about the arts project. Let me know in the chat if you have like any questions about it. It's quite a complex project from the tech aspect, just hacking the code and then creating some code, generating another picture based on the Chromie Squiggle code, and into different plating this into different places such as physics, such as AR. The next question, let me know.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in the early days of your brand? I think this is the challenge we are facing, all of us right now. First, why would someone need this? Because actually they don't need it right now. Let's be honest. Not many people need digital as a physical one. And then the other one is how much should they pay. Digital products are quite free, or they don't cost like much. So these are the still challenges we are facing right now. And I think we won't fix this. I think time will fix it, because as people start to spend more time in virtual environments, and I think also as those kids who are today playing Roblox and Fortnite grow up and gain the spending power, I think this is the time when digital eventually will become more valuable than physical. Yeah. Also, we can move to next question. Yeah, should I move to the next? Please just let me know if.
Yeah, of course, of course. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Uh, can you tell us a bit more about the story behind the creation of the tribute brand? Uh, as said, I was running this physical brand, which was called Price on Request, and it was quite a successful brand. I'm from Croatia, so Croatia is like nowhere on the fashion map. It was very hard for us, to even be noticed as someone doing fashion, because I didn't, go to a fashion school in, large fashion capitals. I wasn't present there. And in the end, with that brand, we eventually ended up presenting at London Fashion Week. We won this very important award. But what was about this brand? It was more about doing the fashion critique than producing clothing. And as we were developing the brand, we were doing like many guerrilla actions. We actually raised HX collaboration, the VIP opening with that. Things developing this idea. I was still at college, to create a shirt with markers and develop my own app, and that people will be able to point their phone towards that shirt, and that shirt will get like filters or something on top of that. And at that time, this idea was very, very early. If we speak about AR was only a thing on Snapchat, the face filter that Kim Kardashian. And I had this idea, and also at the same time, much more earlier, I was a gamer, and I actually really cared more about how I look virtual realities, and at the time, the clothing and just changing my avatar's appearance, the seems the same, and it kind of all connected. At some point, I realized I actually don't care about my physical fashion, which was kind of very fun, and I started just researching everything. I around streetwear brands and that was in 2008, 18 or 17, or even earlier, something like this. And I just started experimenting, and we were still running this physical fashion brand, and we started at the same time making digital outfits based on our pieces that we made physically, but we just enhanced them digitally. And we just opened Instagram page. We decided let's just create a brand. We'll name it Tribute Brand. It was actually like internal joke. Started posting photos of our friends and other people wearing those digital garments, and it kind of blew up for us. From there, people actually they see it organically spreading over the Instagram, and we launched in April 2020. I think this was the first time we posted our stuff on Instagram. So yeah, this is the story. And like the next question, what are some essential software, hardware, workflow you use in your work? When we started, I think clothes was and still is, because as said, it still looks like clothing. But basically, we work in different environments. Sometimes we do like those high quality renders, which are being rendered. We love Blender. We use like all of the software like ZBrush, Houdini, but mostly it's it's Houdini, it's ZBrush, it's Blender, all of that combined. And then we also use Unity if we work with AR. Well, it's based on for what kind of environment the digital fashion product is needed. If it's on a photo fitting, then it's probably Chloe and Blender and some texturing software. If it's AR, then it's Houdini, ZBrush, and Unity. So it really depends where do we go, where do we want to take this garment. The other question is, how has your traditional fashion background helped you your current career work? It helped me a lot because I very early realized how much I hated fashion system, and basically the whole fashion industry. I think why we are all of us right now here, because we all know what's wrong, and I kind of wanted to fix that young, and I was like very frustrated towards everything. So I wanted to show to the people that there is an alternative, and that alternative can actually be much cooler than the physical one. I think also what helped me, and I think this is what everyone needs to do, is to educate just in like fashion history, do research. I just think this is something that's still missed in this space, like to really know about the fashion history. And right now it's not helping much because we are on the digital side. It's totally a new space that has yet formed. So I think we are right now creating this space. How was the business plan constructed? Is it more like an indie studio with mainly you and one or two other designers partners? Or were you creating a plan and going out to look for investment to kick off full time? Yeah, it was. Now we're working like for 2 years with me and my other co-founder Philip. It was very indie, I would say. When I remember, yeah, we were like still at college, just doing things for school, and then the other free time we were just working on the physical brand and Tribute brand, and basically asking other people for favor to help us out if we didn't know something. We are self-taught, so I learned Clo, Philip learned Clo back in the day, I think 5 years ago. It was very, very hard because I remember there were no tutorials. There was like this one tutorial that that was lasting for like an hour, and it just went like person was speaking and then at some point said, all of that I just said was wrong, let's start over. So I remember that time. It was quite fun time. So yeah, it was like that. We were just, very passionate about it, two of us, no funds, and we just worked on that. And then in the end, as that story started developed, as I had this idea around the AR app, the marketplace. We also have been approached by those big brands, and kind of the full vision kind of started to become real. And then all the business and this idea also became very feasible, very realistic in terms of, okay, this can actually happen now. It's not too far in the future. And then this is when I also gathered two other co-founders. We started working also, most of them, they were working like it was like their side hustle. And we started raising 2 years ago. And then a year ago, we received $4.5 million funding, which was led by Collab Currency and other notable investors, DAOs. And this, of course, really helped us to build a company that's here today. But yeah, this is how it started. It was not very planned, but in the end, you have to plan it when it starts becoming serious. But first, it was just like passion and this vision we had. We want to build this because fashion is boring, the traditional fashion. The second question: those big brands that you collab with, do they find you, or do you cold reach them? Or if things happen organically, would love to hear backstory of the success. Actually, this was all organically. We didn't reach out to any of them. I think in the end, if you're doing good things, people will notice you. But it's extremely hard, and you all know that it's extremely hard to get people notice you in this world full of social media and new amazing things coming every second. But I think in the end, if something is good, people will see it. You see with viral news, if there's like story that's very important, for example, Queen Elizabeth has died, people know that in 1 second. So basically, you need to do good things, you need to be present, and I think people will notice you. Because we also tried cold reaching to brands, and this wasn't quite a success, because people, if you reach out to them with something new, they don't know, and they didn't see it anywhere else. They didn't see it like being as a recommendation from someone they know. It's quite harder. So both with Carolina Herrera and both with Jean-Paul Gaultier, they actually reached out to our press agency that they wanted to work with us and do something. So yeah, I would say you need to do both. You need to be very good at pitching. If you cold reach, you need to be very good at pitching. You need to be very short, just show what's your best, where are you best. And on the other side, just be very present online, publish things, but don't just publish like 10 things per day because you think it's important to publish 10 things per day. Publish good things that you're proud of, and people will notice if they are good, of course. You mentioned using Houdini Unity for AR. What is your workflow after Unity? What programs? Unfortunately, I'm not a programmer, and also I'm not an expert at Houdini. Right now, I rarely do creative work except from in creative direction with my colleagues. But when we started, like our workflow was Flow Blender, and then we had this amazing 3D artist joining our team. She was an expert in Houdini, so basically everything connected to AR is she's doing. So I'm not an expert here. And after Unity, this is of course something I'm also not expert at, but basically we have our own app that's being run based on Unity, and you can download on this iOS app. What are the main sources of inspiration and driving force for you and your brand? I would say frustration. I'm very, very ironical person, so I will always tend to, see what's bad. I'm kind of underdog, I would say. I think this has to be connected with this Croatian background where you see, people from Paris, London, and all of those towns succeeding, and then you see how hard it is for someone who's not there to succeed, and then you see I'm doing so much cooler and better things. So I think this is also the main source driver of inspiration. And then you also know what's wrong with the old fashioned industry, and you have the solution. And I think this is what's pushing me forward. I really like to show to the people that what we are doing is really cool, it's important, and it's not just another sustainable thing or whatever that's ugly or something. It's actually really cool, and I want to tell this to everyone. So I think this is what drives me. Can you provide us with some guidance on fundraising? Yes, this is like, yeah, it's very exhausting. First, the second, for us, when it happens, it looks like it was very easy. It happened. Look, they got all of that fundraising, but actually, it's not for us. It was really like, at some point, it was really like a matter of life and death. Because at some point we knew we used to be the process. I think we were trying to fundraise like for a year, and at some point it was like, okay, if we don't set this in the next couple of weeks, people will leave. We don't have any money to pay people. It's going to stay on me and Philip here, and that's it. And then I don't know. It was like we first started cold outreaching to everyone, and it was the whole team. At that point it was 5 of us. We had one people from the business aspect who was helping us. I think it's also very important when, if you're a creative person, that you hire someone, or it can be a friend who can help you, like just from the business aspect, to see what our investors are looking for, and all of that stuff to help you that. And at that point it was like me another co-founder full-time, 2 other co-founders working part-time next to their jobs, and this was our main focus for a year. We were just working on our pitch deck, doing reiterations of that pitch deck. Like I think we did 10 different versions of this pitch deck, and just reaching out to everyone who could be interested. Then also people who liked us, reaching out to us, connecting us to other investors, and then in the end, everything settled. We find amazing lead investor. For me, I think it's one of the best investors in the Web3 space, called Collab and Currency, led by Derek. And then basically when they decided to lead the round, then the rest of the investors also jumped in, and then in the end, like we were actually oversubscribed, which was amazing when you actually think about a year ago, and it was like, okay, who will actually give money for something like this? So yeah, I think the most important advice I would say is have your vision to be fully there. Just how we like showcase that this is your vision and why it's unique, why it's authentic. But also at the same time, if you're not business person, work with a friend or business person who can actually help you set up this pitch deck, and be very short. Practice how to pitch, like be able to tell what you're doing in a couple of minutes, because investors like speak with so many brands every day. Can you give us some advices to monetize our digital creations? As said earlier, it's very hard to monetize digital creations right now, because there's no real market for that right now. The market right now is in the games, which are, you all know, very closed. But I think Roblox it takes a while for them to approve you, but Roblox is kind of more open than Fortnite. So I would focus on the games. Just, it doesn't have to be Web3 connected, just trying to see what games are popular, where people buy the skins, and try to do something for that. And then the other side is the Web3 aspect. And this is like buyers from that aspect, they mostly come from the art area. So they collect to invest in pieces in the same way as art collector would buy a piece of art. So this is where you don't have to give specific utility, but it really has to have a strong concept, as you know, it really has to change something as good art would do. So I think this is right now where you can monetize. How much percent of your writer income did you trade with the initial investment? We actually didn't disclose this publicly, so I can't obviously do this now. But yeah, it's kind of those things go when we received like seed funding round. So you have pre-seed, you have seed, you have series A, B, C, and all of that. So our funding round was seed, and in that area, like the percentage goes between 10 to 30%, I would say, of the whole company. Is the Tribute brand related with Tribute Labs? Yeah, this is it's not, but this is a very funny coincidence. I think we launched actually at the same time, both Tribute Labs and us. And people often mistake, like I know people calling Tribute brands, then people reaching out to me saying I've worked with your company and they worked with Tribute Labs, so on. So it's kind of very funny coincidence this happened. But yeah, we are not related in any way, except Neon DAO, Red DAO, and Flamingo DAO are our investors. For VRMs, we are currently doing this in Mona. To be honest, I'm not familiar with Manifold Wipe, so we are currently in Mona. We are quite satisfied with that. We didn't had like an usual way to go to launch the VRM, because basically we created free VRMs as a company to our Punk NFTs. So people, when you buy our Punk NFT, you can directly import it in Mona as VRM. We only sold one in Mona, and this was sold immediately. But apart of that, we didn't go too much in their marketplace. So I'm not experienced how well their marketplace is performing right now. I didn't. There was a confusion. I did not say that. That would be too much advanced 3 years ago. Uh, NFCs, for the NFCs, we actually started with this idea 2 years ago. Because at some point, as we were doing digital, I always knew I wanted to come back to physical, just in a more meaningful way, as we are, I hope, doing now. And this was this idea that we will put chips in the clothing, so basically you can connect your physical and digital experiences. What's different from our NFT use case than the use case that mostly is being used right now is that we don't want to connect our physical and digitals as NFTs. It's not twins. It's different. If it's a physical, you use it in a physical world, you don't need proof of authentication that you own that item because it's here in front of you, you own it. So this is why it's not NFT, it's not connected to the NFT. Why we use NFTs for the added experience on top of that. For example, connect it to Tribute app, and then you can have an AR filter on top of that odd sweater, for example. If you want, you can connect it to your NFT, but you don't have to own the NFT if you own the physical, or if you own a physical, you're not automatically becoming an owner of the NFT. So this is the difference with the NFC, and I think we're in the future we're going to build our experiences regarding physical, digital on top of physical around that. How you feel about current social media ecosystem? Will people gonna need 3D garments not just as filters, but wear them literally? Or do you think we have a long run for that? This is a question that's been in my mind for so long. I really believe in AR glasses. I started working in this space. We've been hearing about AR glasses, and right now we actually have AR glasses from Apple. And when Apple makes something, it becomes mainstream. So it's becoming reality. But after all of those years, I'm not that confident as I was like before that it's gonna come that soon. But it's evidential. It will happen. It's kind of very, right now for me, it's very strange to hold my phone to take a photo of something. I would like it to be in my eyes. So when this thing comes, and I don't know when it will become, we will instantly look at someone and see AR skins on top of them, what they are wearing. So this is inevitable. It will happen. And then I think this is the moment when this will become mainstream. But when this will happen, it can actually might happen next year when those AR glasses become available. We don't know. So I don't want to give like too many predictions in the future, but it will happen. That's the one thing I'm sure. Why you did not want it to mint it? I'm not quite sure what this is referring to. Let's go to the next one. Do you have advice for individual artists emerging in the digital fashion realm? You mentioned it is hard to monetize. What would you do to work around with this? Work around the concept. Don't just, I think right now is about the creativity, and I think this is what's very nice right now in this time. So don't just think about replicating IRL looks. Don't think just about I'm gonna create trousers in the digital realm. Really think about what is fashion in the digital world. How will fashion look when we don't need our body, when we don't need to dress our body? And I think rarely anyone is thinking about this right now. And when you come with something like this, I think this is what people will buy. It will buy this concept, this idea, and this idea eventually will become something that people will wear on their avatars or in their skins in the future. Silly question, not sure. How does laundering your clothes affect the embedded NFC chip? I'm always worried about the washing of clothes and NFC chip surviving. It's not a silly question. It's actually a good question. We were also very concerned about this one. And actually, what's very funny with this punk tracksuit we are launching in January, hopefully. The tracksuit is actually, I don't know how much you're familiar with our punk project, but it's actually like tribute to Victoria's Secret Pink, but actually kind of also hacking the brand. So we created a spoof on Victoria's Secret Pink, named it Punk. And there are also three components. One is your PFP, which is logo. The other one is your avatar, which is this creature we call Spunky. And the third component is a physical tracksuit. And that physical tracksuit is like very destroyed, very like punk vibe on it. So it actually had the textile actually needed to have a treatment on it, and it actually has to go to the stone wash and chemical wash to achieve this look. And we were like, okay, we are going to put our NFT chips into this, how they're going to survive. So we actually sent them to a test. They've been through it all and they survived. So it's good right now. So I think you can launder them. You just, just respect what's written there on the care label. I wouldn't go beyond 30 or 40 degrees. I would also like to hear like from people here, like what's the space you are coming from? Like is like the generative fashion something you're interested? Is it the real time, like the skins, or is it just creating 3D garments? Really interested, like what's kind of most important to you? Yeah, for the Mona, this is what they did. So I don't know actually when it will be published, but they will publish it. It's actually quite cool. Like the execution level is very, very good. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good world. Yeah, why I'm asking for the background because what we do is very broad. I think we kind of just touched on it right now. I said like we are doing those bespoke 3D garments that can be seen there, that are one-on-one garments that can be seen the most of it you can see on our Instagram, and this is why we are known in the fashion community. And then in the end, we kind of with couple of other brands started this generative fashion movement, which is very Web3. So yeah, love to chat about all of these things. It's all fashion. And then in the end, we started doing generative cocktails, which was a thing we did in Morocco.
Amazing. Thank you again. For me, I'm similar to yourself, that kind of frustration of fashion. And then also not feeling accepted when you don't want to overproduce. I started looking at the waste issue in Ghana and seeing how fast fashion has caused clothes to be clogged in our sewage system in Ghana, and also found on the beach as well. So I had to come back to myself and say, how do I reimagine the future of fashion where we can manufacture based on the needs of people as opposed to predicting how much we should produce? So so hearing your story definitely is something that is resonating with me. I physical footwear using my embroidery machine, as well as make digital assets using Gravity Sketch as my 3D model medium. But yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no, this is like I really, really like this story. I think it's like similar thing to mine, a different location. And the thing I'm frustrated the most is the sustainability aspect. I think one thing we can't do, we can't say digital fashion is alternative to physical, digital fashion is sustainable. This is not thing with digital. Digital is better. it's not an alternative. And then the other side is the sustainable aspect of physical fashion, where brands, they say we are producing organic cotton, we are doing this, and this, and then in the end they're polluting more because people are still buying lots of clothes. So I think what's our goal in the sustainable aspect is that basically let people know how cool this is, let them know that they can have 10 different garments at the same time and they will look better than in any other physical garment, and this is the reason why they're going to buy it, not because of the sustainability.
100% agree. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Thank you, Gala. I was rushing in the chat to ask all the questions. I've been following the Tribute brand and you for. I was like a metaverse architect with doing stuff with Neon DAO too, and that's how I learned about your brand and was following it for a time. And thank you for answering all the related, unrelated questions of mine. Yeah.
Thank you for the questions.
Thank you. And I was an architect, as I wrote on the chat. And since like they are a quite important part of the space, it's like almost identity plus furniture if you use them as NPCs. So I will start to get into the fashion and the design of identity beings through VRM, like 1.5 year ago. And it was a process of mine getting into the fashion. So my background is architecture.
Yeah, but furniture is fashion. So you're a fashion designer in there. All of it is fashion. It's furniture. It's the how you design the tree.
Yeah, it's also
Yeah.
fashion. It doesn't need to make photosynthesis in metaverse, but
Yeah, exactly. So it does the look.
in its own
Yeah.
fact.
What's the tree that, what's gonna be the next it tree? So it really is what's funny. Everything we do there, it's fashion, everything. This is why I'm always repeating, don't just do clothing. It's not clothing, is here for the physical.
Yeah, and also like for architecture is also same. I think also it's for the same for the fashion too. It's like what we know, like what we recognize from the real world with the typical techniques that the manufacturing allows us to do in a mass production. It is not needs to be done in that direction in a
Exactly.
virtual reality. So we don't have gravity. We don't have to knit. It's so big, broad perspective that we as a like people like just started to explore it,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's also quite interesting topic in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. This is why it's so hard, because it's always easier to work with something familiar and to reiterate it. Well, what's that new? That's the hard question. And
Exactly.
someone who actually unlocks this, it will be huge, as they say in the crypto world.